Rob. Hi, everyone. So I'm going to spend a few minutes going over some of the changes that are happening in the space sector and trying to give you a bit of a look forward about how we perceive the sector changing and how that maps to the particular opportunities that we are currently investing in. So, as a reminder, what makes space so interesting and why is now the time to be investing in it? Well, we've alluded to this already, but space really does make the world go round. It is the hidden linchpin that powers our everyday lives. None of us could exist day to day without GPS. We likewise couldn't exist without the satellite connectivity that powers pretty much everything. And looking outside at a very rainy London, we definitely couldn't get by without satellite-based weather forecasting. So what led to us founding Seraphim was the fundamental changes in the economics of space that have been underway for the last 10 years. How do we think about that? We think about space as really being the next industrial revolution. We've already seen through SpaceX radical reductions in the cost of launching rockets, similar reductions in the size and cost of satellites. You're going to be hearing from some of those companies that we've invested in later today. And for the first time, we've now seen constellations of hundreds and thousands of satellites, not just that are going to be launched, but have been launched. What does that translate to? It translates to nearly half of all of the satellites that have ever been launched in the history of the space age, having been launched since 2020. Behind that, we're investing in and tracking more than 200 companies that have aspirations for putting up 100,000 satellites by the end of the decade. So almost a tenfold increase in the cumulative history of the number of satellites that have been launched, plans to launch. Think about how profound that changes. What does that translate to into an investment opportunity? It's translating into a market that is on a clear trajectory to becoming a $1 trillion market, and one that crucially is playing to many of the mega trends that are defining our world. Just as many investors wouldn't think about not having exposure to artificial intelligence, we would argue that space offers that same macro opportunity, and one that is actually critically bucking the trend in terms of the broader challenging macroeconomic headwinds. That is being translated into the record levels of investment activity that Mark has been alluding to. So where are we spending our time and how do we see that changing? So rather imaginatively, we have described the way space is developing as space 2.0, 3.0 and 4.0 to come. So space 2.0 is where we have been focused and continue to have most of our activity. What do we mean by space 2.0? Really a manifestation of all of the changes that I've just been talking about. This huge amount of data and connectivity that's being enabled by all of these large constellations that for the first time are going up, about the real-time insights that's generating. We're talking about Google-scale data sets that are being generated now that are fundamentally reshaping many sectors around the world. So this is really the space-to-earth digital infrastructure. That's what we've really been focused on over the recent years and makes up a significant proportion of our portfolio today. What's coming next and where have we started to be investing in the last 12 months or so? So this is where space 3.0 comes into play. So this is a way of really thinking about the actual space infrastructure and services for space itself. So rather than about necessarily bringing stuff back down to Earth, it's for space. What do we mean by that? Well, you can think about all the things that you have on Earth translating themselves into space. Internet in space, you've got to have connectivity for all of the satellites. You've got to have it for exploration. You've got to have cleanup services, as we've been alluding to. We're making a mess of the environment in space. That's not something that we can allow to continue. It represents an existential threat to us on Earth. And very excitingly, we're currently very actively looking at space as a platform for innovation. What do I mean by that? The unique environment of microgravity potentially enables the next generation of scientific breakthrough in everything from semiconductors to pharmaceuticals. Might sound like science fiction, but believe me, the innovation is happening now. The sector is changing in ways that means that we're translating out of R&D and into actual commercial applications in these domains. And then space 4.0. That's really a little bit more future gazing. Not somewhere that we're particularly focused right now, but we are seeing at very early stages incredible levels of innovation happening here. What sort of things are we talking about? Really, we're talking about availing of the infinite resources of space, but doing so in a sustainable way and to benefit the planet. The ability to generate solar power in space and beam it back down to Earth. Sounds like science fiction. It's been proven. We've had companies through our accelerator and seen other companies getting funded that are doing this now. The whole area of lunar and asteroid natural resource exploitation. Now, this isn't something that we're investing in right now, but we see over the next decade and beyond this becoming potentially an enormous opportunity. And then again, another analogy to Earth, real estate. Seeing commercial space stations, such as ones that we've invested in, needing to come online in response to the launch of the Chinese station and the likely retirement of the ISS by the end of the decade. The possibility of some of us deciding to go holidaying on the moon. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, but you are going to see during this decade permanent human habitations being established by nation states first on the lunar surface and potentially beyond. So bringing that back to how does everything I've talked about really map to the key themes of what we're investing in, what you're going to be hearing about today. So we've already touched on global security, and this is something that we're very proud that some of our companies have really been at the forefront of efforts in Ukraine in order to combat Russian aggression. So the picture that you can see here under global security is from our portfolio company ICI, a picture taken of the bridge to Crimea. So space has a fundamentally important role to play in protecting democracies and ensuring resilience against acts of global aggression. By the same measure, one of the other major threats that impacts all of our lives and will continue to do so for generations is clearly the climate crisis. It's only with space-derived Earth intelligence that we're able to actually understand what's happening here on Earth and take appropriate measures to mitigate it. Space R&D and manufacturing, well, I've referred to this already, but we do believe that you're going to see really some fundamental scientific breakthroughs that are going to unlock huge amounts of value, manifesting themselves in space over the course of the rest of this decade. And then what we referred to as being moonshots, these more speculative long-term bets on areas such as around the lunar economy, where it's not somewhere that we're focused right now, but we are starting to see the innovation that in years to come we expect to be investing in. So that's a very quick rattle through of some of the key themes, and we'll be digging into some more of those in the sessions that follow. Thank you.